Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a radically focused approach to our source material. We aren't going to be skimming through pages of data or long, sweeping articles. Instead, we're doing a micro-textual analysis. Basically, a deeply meditative, incredibly detailed explanation of just one single profoundly dense verse from our source. It's a phrase that completely encapsulates human desire, the concept of time, and ultimate salvation. I am so excited to guide you through this because it perfectly demonstrates just how much structure, logic, and meaning can be packed into a few words. So let's establish the foundational text that's going to serve as the absolute boundary for everything we discuss today. Here is the complete excerpt directly from our source material. Translated into English, it reads, "And some say, O our Lord, grant us goodness in this world and goodness in the hereafter, and save us from the punishment of the fire." And honestly, that single sentence is the absolute universe of our exploration today. We're going to unpack it, literally phrase by phrase, to really understand its architecture.
Section 1. The Act of Asking. Calling upon the Lord.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that before any specific request is even made, the text establishes a distinct relationship. It's an acknowledgement of this universal human condition. We are beings who ask. We plead to a creator. Notice that the text doesn't just, list off demands. It starts with an invocation, a calling out to our Lord. This sets a deeply personal, relational tone for the entire passage that follows. It frames the upcoming requests not as entitled demands, but as humble petitions coming from a place of reliance. And this seemingly simple act of asking is logically structured into 3 distinct progressive steps. Step 1 is focused strictly on good in this world. Step 2 transitions into good in the hereafter, and Step 3 culminates in protection from the fire. It's a beautifully ordered progression of human consciousness, moving from the tangible present to the unseen future and finally to ultimate security. Let's break down each of these 3 steps individually.
Section 2. The Immediate. Goodness in this world.
So the text explicitly points to our present reality right out of the gate, making the very first specific request about goodness in this world. And this is fascinating to me, because it doesn't bypass the human experience. It acknowledges the absolute validity of our immediate present world needs. The text isn't asking us to ignore our current lives or just dismiss the physical world. Actually, it directly petitions for goodness right within it. Let's look a bit closer at that word for goodness. In the strict context of the present material world, this word acts as an incredibly powerful anchor. It encompasses everything positive in our immediate, tangible reality. The source text doesn't single out wealth, health, or status individually. Instead, it uses a beautifully broad, encompassing term that captures the very essence of a good life, right here and now. By anchoring the first part of the prayer in goodness for the present world, the text validates the fundamental human desire to live well, to find peace, and to experience positivity in the present moment, before even looking toward anything else.
Section 3. The Eternal. Good in the hereafter.
But of course, the text doesn't just stop there. Once the immediate is addressed, we transition seamlessly to the second request. And here, the prayer expands its vision drastically. It pulls the lens way back from the immediate world we can see and touch and refocuses our attention entirely on the hereafter. This shift is profound. It serves as a reminder that the present world, no matter how much goodness it contains, is really only one half of the equation. And this brilliantly illustrates the symmetry of the text. On the left side, we have worldly good, on the right, hereafter good. Notice the exact repetition of the word goodness. The text mirrors itself perfectly. It uses the exact same measure of desire for the unseen future as it does for the tangible present. It establishes this profound equilibrium. You aren't asking for less in the hereafter than you are in the present world, and you aren't asking for less in the present world than in the hereafter. It is a perfectly mirrored request for total goodness across all phases of existence.
Section 4. The Protection. Shielding from the fire.
Okay, so up until this point, the text has been entirely affirmative. It's been asking for something, specifically asking for goodness, both now and later. But in this third phase, the grammatical and thematic tone completely pivots. We transition from seeking a positive acquisition to pleading for a protective shield. The text moves from asking for what is good to asking to be saved from what is terrifying. Let's just meditate slowly on the gravity of this final request. And save us from the punishment of the fire. This isn't just some brief add-on, This is the ultimate plea that seals and completes the entire supplication. Think about it. You can have all the goodness in the world and you can desire goodness in the hereafter, but without ultimate protection from this specific punishment, all that preceding goodness is essentially fragile. This final phrase acts as a definitive safety net. It acknowledges human vulnerability and our ultimate need for divine protection. It's what gives the entire verse its profound spiritual weight and urgency.
Section 5. A Perfect Balance. Synthesizing the Prayer.
So the crucial point is, now that we've taken the text apart piece by piece, let's bring these clauses back together to reveal the perfect synthesis of the verse. What we see when we zoom out is an incredibly holistic framework for human desire. It isn't skewed too heavily toward worldly materialism, nor is it so strictly focused on the afterlife that it just ignores present human suffering or joy. It is a literal masterclass in structural harmony, proving through its very phrasing that true completeness requires addressing every single dimension of our existence. The logical progression we've just deconstructed leaves absolutely no aspect of human existence unaddressed. First, it secures present needs. Second, it secures future rewards. And third, it establishes ultimate security. This one single sentence manages to map out the entire trajectory of human life and consequence. It teaches us not just what to ask for, but how to organize our priorities so we are thinking comprehensively and structurally about our own existence.
Which brings us to a final really important thought. Do our own requests find this perfect balance between the present and the future? I mean, when we articulate our own desires, are they this remarkably well-rounded? Or, let's be honest, do we lean too heavily on the immediate present and totally forget the eternal? Or maybe we focus entirely on the future, neglecting the good of right now. This single line of text from our source really challenges us to evaluate the very architecture of our own hopes and fears. I'll leave you to reflect on that. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I really hope this deeply focused, structured look at just a few words has given you a whole new perspective to think about.